What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you are listening to Liquid Kernedge. What's up, dude?
Man, nothing. It's been a hot week in Phoenix. We hit highs on Monday and Tuesday, and I think we're going to cool down finally this weekend back to the 104s again. But it was 115, 116. It's just friggin' awful. It's awful.
Yeah, it is the epitome of the summertime in Arizona. These are the dog days of summer, as it were. It was 109 today when I walked into the gym for my workout, which is inside a giant RV garage with no circulating air.
Oh, God.
So every day I go to the gym in this weather is a near-death experience.
That's awful, bro. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, it's partially my fault. It's partially because I pay to do this. And as a paying member of a gym like this, in my mind, I reserve the right to say not only no, but hell no to some of these workouts in this weather. And you can call me a cherry picker because that's what they call people in the CrossFit world. And Tom, make a note. I said CrossFit within the first 2 minutes of the show.
That will be on the executive producer's notes.
That'll be on the notes.
Big time,
That'll be in the notes. If you knowingly skip a workout on one of your regular days, they call you a cherry picker. And this time of year, I don't fucking care. After today, I don't care anymore. If it's over a certain temperature, I'm not working out. I got stuff I'm going to do.
Hey, I'm with you, man. And I just want to put a note out there that after last week's diving into the deep, dark recesses of my mind topic, I could use a little light topic this week. So if we have something light on topic, that would be good. Because I got a lot of people that said, wow, Jason, you are fucked up.
Yeah, right? No offense,
you
man.
are totally fucked, dude. Like, my opinion of you has totally dropped off in the last week. So
better you than me, my friend. Better you than me. That's fucked.
You were a close second. Did we ever do a poll on that?
Oh no, we
Dang
didn't.
it.
I meant to do a poll, and I'm
Shoot.
sorry.
Nah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry.
I think by all the responses I got about the twistedness of my mind, chances are the majority of people want to go see the midget wrestlers. So
the midget wrestling instead, yeah. But since we discussed entertainment last week, we can discuss entertainment this week too. It is the 30th anniversary of Shark Week on Discovery Channel.
I think that's utterly amazing. 30 years they've been doing Shark Week, and you would think that the first couple of years would be kind of cool and it would die off, but it is more popular now than it is ever in the history of it.
Nuts.
And it keeps growing. Like
it's crazy. Now they've got all these celebrities in there. They've had Aaron Rodgers and Rob Gronkowski and Ronda Rousey in the water with sharks without cages. They gave Guy Fieri his own show about a feeding frenzy in the Bahamas with sharks.
I saw a news article that they actually had to rip Shaquille O'Neal out of the cage because the shark got through the cage. And
yeah, I'll be honest though. His show was so entertaining because he had Rob Riggle be his quote unquote coach for that one, and it was funny. I haven't finished that one all the way yet. I've been just DVRing him and watching as I have time, and so I can. It's not just a week for me. It's going to be about a month and a half, just because it entertains me when I'm bored. But it was pretty good. But I was watching this one last night, and every year they always end up at this island called Guadalupe Island off the coast of Baja, Mexico, but a couple hundred miles west off the coast of Baja. And they say it's where great white sharks go. It's where they go to breed. It's where they go to. It's just where they end up. So it's a mecca for great white sharks, and it's got this trench in the ocean. Like there's the ocean bottom that's about 400 feet down, and then there's a trench right there, a drop off, where they say the biggest of the biggest great whites are. And last year they found a 20+ foot great white that was the width of a hippopotamus. And yeah, they figured she was 50 years old.
Wow.
I mean, and this shark was massive. Like they had some aerial shots of her swimming underneath the boat, and she was the size of the boat, easily the size of a bus.
20 feet. That's just incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
They said she probably weighed 2.5 tons, which is 5,000 pounds. Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. So they went looking for the shark again this year, because that's what you do when you find a shark that massive. Hey man, let's go look for that shark. So what these idiots do, and I call them idiots because they do things that I would never, ever want to do. The idea of swimming with sharks is cool in theory when you have a cage. And some of these guys don't have a cage. But in this case, since it was great white infested waters, they wanted to go to the edge of this ravine down on the ocean floor to see if they can draw up these massive sharks from the deep depths.
Oh,
that's where they figure like the giant, not quite megalodon sharks, but like the big great whites are. So they send these two people down in this cage, and it hits the ocean floor. And they're looking at all these sharks starting to frenzy and come around. They're checking them out, and they're moving around the cage, and they figure they want to tag one of the sharks.
Tag, like, just so they can monitor it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like they want to tag it so they can track its movement, but they have to get out of the cage for that. So they start making moves to do this, and the cage starts to tip in the ocean, and it starts to slide with the current because the current is taking it toward the ravine.
Oh, God.
And there's a movie that came out last summer called 47 Meters where these two divers were stuck in a cage on the bottom of the ocean with great whites above them.
Oh, shoot.
And it was very much like that. Like they were you could see very clearly from the cameraman, the cage is sliding and tipping at this point. So they're trying to stay on top of the cage, but inside the cage as much as they can. And they're trying to not, I don't want to say puss out, but tell the boat up above water to reel them in. And they literally got to the edge of the ravine before they said, hey, you need to pull this in. But as they were doing that, then they found the shark they wanted to tag.
The 50.
Not that one. They didn't.
But they found another one.
Not the 50-year-old. But they found a different one, a similar one that was 18 feet long. And this genius gets out of the cage at the bottom of the seafloor and manages to tag it and sneak back into the cage before it's noticed.
Cool.
But the whole time I'm thinking is, man, if that cable broke or something bit that cable and you guys are in that cage going over that ravine, how do you want to die? How do you die at that? Do you die because of suffocation and the pressure of the water going down there? Or do you die because you get eaten by a fucking shark to get back?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I have about being underwater. I mean, the fear of sharks is legitimate, and I'm not getting that. But I've always had a kind of a fear of being, out of oxygen, like a drowning kind of scenario. So you have that with the fear of being eaten by a shark. It's just one of those things I just don't have any interest in trying to push the limits to say, oh, I want to pet a great white shark, or I want to, be down there and let them eat the cage around me. And I'm okay. I'll just watch it on Shark Week.
I've watched Jaws enough in my lifetime. I know what happens when you get in the water. And I can watch it on Shark Week. I have to be in the water with those animals. And yet that is the ultimate predator when you're in water.
Yeah, and when you go to an aquarium, like when we went to the Odyssey Aquarium in Phoenix, they have a pretty big shark tank that they have, and it's amazing to watch them. They just move so gracefully. They're basically been engineered in life to be a predator. That's all they do. Right? Is they are sleek and graceful and fast, and they just are there to eat. And I'm thinking, what an amazing creature that was created. Oh. And they're beautiful until you see their teeth. When you see their teeth come out and they have the 3 layers of teeth, that, oh, God.
Oh, it's so jacked up.
Nasty. They are so nasty.
And I was obsessed with sharks as a kid. So when I was a kid, Shark Week was one of the coolest things. I looked forward to it every summer. My mom would take me to the library, and I would get the books on the sharks. I would get, I would sit in front of the TV every night on Discovery, and I would wait for Shark Week, and I would watch it. That's before they had DVRs, man. That was when you could only watch one thing at a time. And if somebody else wanted to watch it, because I was the youngest, well, I got tough shit. I couldn't watch it.
Well, I think the thing that's amazing about the show, too, is, shark is a shark, but they're able to come up with different shows during Shark Week that allow you to keep interested seeing the same thing again and again. It kind of reminds me of Ninja Warrior. You watch it every year. It's the same thing.
But you're still interested.
There's something fascinating about the sharks and the way that they put the shows together that makes you just say, it'll probably go on for quite some time, and it'll just keep growing and growing with a new generation of shark lovers. I mean, it's been on for 30 years, so,
And I hope it does, because I really, truly have enjoyed growing up with it. I look forward to it every summer now. And, God, man, the creativity they have, you're trying to reinvent what there is to know about the great whites or telling us about sharks that we wouldn't necessarily know about. Granted, the great white sharks are the sexiest sharks to learn about because they're the biggest killers. But you figure tiger sharks, bull sharks, hammerheads.
I mean, there's so many different ones. That's the other thing too, is there's so many different ones.
Yeah.
When you realize that, like, I like the ones that have the hammerhead. Like the hammerhead is kind of just a unique shark. Yeah. The great white is impressive just because of its pure size but I've always wondered too, when you're in a fish tank, like when you're at the Odyssey Aquarium and you look in the shark tank, there's other fish swimming in the shark tank.
Yeah.
And you wonder, well, at what point does the shark just swim around with those fish, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting kind of hungry. Just bite a fish.
That's natural selection at that point. That's survival of the fittest. But the one thing they said they've never caught on camera or even know how it happens is how a great white gives birth. Oh, and that is the greatest mystery.
Now, okay, so that's interesting because they had a best of Shark Week before the Shark Week started, and they actually had one of the best episodes was they were talking that a shark mother basically has like 10 sharks growing at any one time.
Yeah.
But even in the vitro, there will be a couple of sharks that will actually get eaten by the other sharks in the womb.
Yeah.
And they said that it's amazing because while, some people say, oh, it's horrible that a baby shark would eat another, they said it's survival of the fittest even inside the womb.
Yeah.
You just think that's fucking crazy. Like these little embryos, they took an ultrasound and you see like 8 of them all in the shark. And then only 6 of them come out. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, man.
And sharks. And how nuts is that, man? That is the epitome of nature versus nurture right in there.
Yeah. Like the survival of the fittest, like you said. I mean, it's just one of those things where even as a baby, when you're taught, hey, you've got to be the strongest, you've got to kill the weakest. And even then they say, hey, sorry, brother, Philippe, but you're done. You're out.
Let me pose this question to our listeners right now. What do you watch Shark Week? And if you do watch Shark Week, what's your favorite part about it? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Kernedge. Tell us what your favorite part about Shark Week is. Or if you haven't watched it or you don't watch it, I want to know why, man. Are you opposed to learning? Like, we're here to find out why you don't want to be educated about sharks. So, and if you want to talk to Tom about it, because Tom's a fan, he just won't admit it. I was texting him earlier after I was watching the Guy Fieri special. I was like, this is literally where the Discovery Channel jumped the shark, no pun intended, by giving Guy Fieri his own Shark Week show.
His own Shark Week show.
And Tom was mad at me because I still pay for cable, apparently, or DirecTV. So if you have comments about Tom and his cheapness toward the television companies, hit him up on Instagram and Twitter, all at liquid_EP. That's our social media. And don't be afraid to hit us up, man. We're always responsive on there. We want to hear from you. We want to make sure you guys are actually paying attention to what we're saying half the time.
Well, and also we want to know what's the best part of Shark Week, because I have to make a confession. I think I've seen maybe 2 or 3 episodes in my entire life.
It's amazing we're friends.
I know. I think part of it, though, Scott, is obviously because I do have a fear of being underwater, and I do have a fear of sharks eating people. And when you combine the two, it probably loses its interest to me. But that being said, I have seen a couple things, and sharks are amazing creatures. It's funny. You said the nature versus nurture and how the survival of the fittest. I watched a really interesting movie this weekend called It's called 3 Identical Strangers. It's a documentary, and the premise is that 3 triplets were adopted as babies, but they were adopted by different families. And 19 years later, one of the twins meets another twin, or one of the triplets meets a second triplet member at college. And then those two, tell the story about these twin brothers who were lost for 19 years. It gets stretched out, and then someone else from the state reads the newspaper and sees his two brothers look exactly like him. So these three triplets reunite after 19 years. And they basically immediately have a connection. You know, you've heard that twins, you know, have like a connection between them. Well, these three triplets, I guess, had such a connection that they instantly, their mannerisms were the same. Their looks were obviously the same. They had the same interest in girls and cars. And
didn't they make that movie back in the 80s when it was called Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
But the difference was is that in this case, the three triplets, they looked the same, they acted the same, they talked the same. They basically, like everything, they wrestled in high school. They both wrestled in high school. It was weird too. Each of them had a sister that was the same age. Each of them were adopted by families that had a sister that was the same age. So all these similarities, even though they were raised by different households, they were raised in different parts of the state, and it brought up the question, because they were so much alike and they never met each other, is there something to be said about that you're just born with whatever you're born with and you grow up there's no impact of what family you grow up with or where you grow? Or do you think that that the nurturing makes the people that we are? That was kind of the premise of the show. But I started thinking, like, with sharks, I mean, they're programmed to think I'm a hunter. That's what I do. If they grew up in a ocean versus growing up in an aquarium, does the nature of them being a predator change because of where they grow up or where they're nurtured? Or
I think from a human mammal perspective, nature and nurture, it's a combination of the two. And in some cases, in this case, you get the set of triplets that were adopted out, and they all have very similar interests. That says a lot about just the nature of who they are, and the nurturing for them to actually be able to get to that spot and be decent human beings. You know, it's a combination. Sharks are a whole different. That's just nature, man, because they can't live in aquariums. The predators, like the great whites, can't live in aquariums long term.
Oh well, but here's the thing. I mean, those three twins, each of them grew up in a totally different financial, like one was a son of a doctor, so affluent. One was the son of a teacher and his wife was a nurse, so not necessarily affluent, but definitely middle class. And then one of the kids grew up in a blue collar kind of family. But to have so many similarities when you have such different inputs into the nurturing of you, it was telling to say maybe we're just programmed. Like, maybe it doesn't really matter where we're born. We're going to turn out who we turn out to be, no matter what.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like I have to think that who we're raised by, or what family members we have, should make a difference somehow in how we turn out. But it was fascinating to put the question out, because the reality is most of us will never have the ability to know what our lives would have been like if you'd been raised by a multimillionaire family or a poor family,
Well, nature versus nurture, that's been a lifelong debate, or I don't know. It's been as long as science has been around.
Yeah,
that debate has been around. 'Cause if you look at my brother and I, we're two completely different people.
Yeah.
And we were both raised the same.
Right.
We both have the same parents, lived in the same household, went to the same elementary schools and high schools, went to different colleges, but that's neither here nor there. Right. But our personalities were essentially ingrained in us by the people that raised us, and you have two very different people. So maybe it is more nature, and nurturing just helps bring out some of the qualities that you want to bring out and suppress some of the ones you need to suppress.
Well, and it's funny because my friend Pete, Denver Dean as we call him, but my friend Pete, he was raised by the same father, same stepmother. He had a brother and a sister, and the three of them turned out totally different as well.
Yeah.
The real question, though, to me is if you and your brother had been raised by my parents versus your parents,
what would the differences be?
Would there have been a difference? I mean, would there have been a difference from who you guys are now to who you guys would have been with different parents?
And that's an interesting.
And I think
that's an interesting question.
Yeah, that was the part that I got me thinking about that movie, was that this was an easy opportunity to see that, because you wouldn't normally have that opportunity, because you can hypothetically say that all you want, but if they're identical triplets, they're about as close to the same as you can possibly get. And to see, what their personalities would be like by three, we got to see it. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, because you're right, though. My friend Pete, I'm an only child, so I don't have anything to compare to, but it makes me think, well, what would have happened if I would have grown up with a rich family or a poor family, or if I lived in Arizona my whole life versus living in Alaska my whole life. I mean, even that might have changed who I was as my person. So, we have our programming, and then
you learn things with nature versus nurture too. It's, my dad is very mechanically inclined. He can fix most engines. He can work on. He knows the basics of them. I do not have that gene. Most of our listeners know I bought a Baja Bug, and he and I were working on it, but I decided to cut that short and just take it to the mechanic, because I'm not mechanically inclined, nor do I have the patience he has. I'm also not retired.
Yeah.
So that helps.
No, I'm with you. I mean, if it came down to, when I was 14 years old, my dad asked me to help him change the oil in our and do a tune-up, and I put the spark plugs in the other way. Like, I was trying to put him in the wrong way, and he just said, you can stop now. You can just stop.
Yeah, I know the basics. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm smart enough at this point in my life to know if I can take it to mechanic and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I'd rather it run right the first time and pay the price for it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's and that is the nature of my mother in me coming out saying, just pay for the damn thing and let someone else worry about it. That's why you work.
Yeah, like sometimes I wonder, because like sports people, who came from a totally bad neighborhood and become superstars in whatever sport they are in, and then other football players that come from like the best of homes and are not successful in their careers. That tells me that's nature, right? That's nature saying that this person was destined to be who he is. Does nurturing play any role in that?
I don't think that's the same thing. I think if someone becomes a superstar because of natural abilities versus becoming a superstar versus a hard work ethic, and then you have someone like Michael Jordan who had a combination of the two, just very different scenarios, really.
Yeah, and if he would have come from a different family, who knows? He may have pursued something totally different. I mean,
right?
But I mean. It was if you have a chance to go see the movie or watch the movie, it's called Three Identical Strangers, and it was just interesting. And sometimes I don't think I have a twin out there. Like I think my mom would have told me if she had left one of the twins for adoption or something like that. But how surreal would it be if you came around the corner going to, I don't know, work or something, and your exact identical twin bumps into you and you didn't even know you had one?
This is what I love about our show. You're
Holy shit, dude. That would fucking freak me out, man.
You are so in-depth, and you are so deep in your thinking like that. You wanted to discuss, and this was very much a conversation we had before the show started, what our topic tonight was going to be. And you wanted to discuss nature versus nurture at a very deep level. And I wanted to talk about Shark Week. We found compromise.
We did.
But that is the difference between you, my friend, and myself, is that you are deep like the ocean, and I am deep like a mud puddle. And Tom will agree with you on that, and with me on that 100%. I can see him making that note right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a good note.
I just like to keep things light and fun, man. And you do such a great job of really asking the deep questions in life, like what kind of animal can your penis make?
Yes,
with the proper shadow.
I can make a hamburger, or I can make a pelican.
Oh yeah,
that was a hamburger or a pelican.
So, you guys got big plans this weekend, or?
Oh my gosh! So
you just staying out of the heat?
It's supposed to cool off, and it's supposed to cool off. August is our big month. I've got a trip to go see Miranda in August, and we've got a special, like a weekend away trip that Noreen's planned for us. I don't know. Do you remember a couple episodes ago, probably a few episodes, we did a surprise weekend where we just kind of went out?
Yeah.
Well, we decided we didn't want to pay the same amount of money to do the weekend like that. So what we've decided to do is she now or me will draw the location of where we're going to go and then not tell the other person till the day of the trip. So like she's planning this trip and I don't know where we're going. Then the next trip I plan and she doesn't know where we're going.
Oh, that's
so
adorable.
We've kind of done it. We've come up with a compromise to the way we did it before. And I think I'm looking forward to it. So at least one of us will be surprised. But we noticed that because the trip was a pack up and go, you don't know where you're going. You really couldn't plan any activities, in advance. Like when we went to San Francisco, it would have been nice to say, oh, there's a concert or there's a baseball game or there's something. But because you don't know where you're going, there's no way for you to plan. So this way, at least one person can kind of plan out a trip and plan, events to go to. So, so that's what we're going to do.
That's cool.
What we're going to do. So, but August is going to be a busy month.
So what you're saying is you're relaxing this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend is going to be relax. And then I've got a birthday coming up next month, and it's going to be pretty crazy.
It's a few weeks away, dude.
I know. I'm getting old, bro.
I know. We had to take you out back and just put a bullet in your head.
No offense, nature, nurture, it doesn't matter. Just throw me in the shark tank, let me drown, man.
That's it, man.
I mean, I got one foot in the water. I'm halfway in the cage. I'm a little up to above my belly. I mean, it's awful, man. It's awful.
That's true.
What about you? Anything planned this weekend?
We are doing a lake day with our gym again this weekend. Just a little quick getaway down to Lake Mojave, Telephone Cove, and this time I will have my Crespos with me, so I don't lose my sunglasses in the water. So if you go to CresposOfficial.com and use the promo code Liquid Kernedge, you can get 20% off your first order of Crespos. They are the piece of equipment that is necessary when you're hiking, in the water, or just general activity where you don't want to lose your glasses if they fall off your face. Our buddy Matt is a great businessman creating this product, and we are happy to support his dream of making this a successful business for him. So this special, the Liquid Kernedge promo code, is only going through the end of the summer. So if you haven't had a chance to purchase or haven't had a chance to go online, definitely suggest to take advantage of it, because the promo code does end at the end of the summer. So absolutely.
So definitely.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to the lake, and then I don't know. So I'm close to Bullhead at that point. So maybe I'll hit up Sam's Club. There's a new barbecue place down there I've been wanting to try. So I will see what happens. It depends.
Sounds fun. It sounds fun.
It sounds fun. I mean, otherwise I could be under an air conditioner just hoping for sweet relief from this summer heat.
Yeah, well, and I tell you what, we're supposed to drop 12 degrees between today and the weekend, so I'm looking forward to that.
And that's a huge difference, man. 117 to 105. Yeah. I mean, people might be like, well, fuck, that's still over 100, but you notice that difference once you're used to it. You notice a big difference. So I don't want to hear anyone that's never been in it say that's still hot. I mean, hot is hot, but there's a difference between 117 and 105.
Well, to our listeners out there, the show is kind of wrapping up, but I would also like to hear about whether you think that our personalities are based on our nature or our nurture. So hit us up on our social web pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, @Liquid Kernedge. You want to see our notes for this week from our executive producer, Tom. You can go to Twitter @Liquid_EP.
Or just Liquid_EP on Twitter.
On Twitter. Okay, so it's not that's right, because he doesn't do Facebook on our page. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. But
his Tom's Twitter handle is Liquid_EP. So just search for him there, search for him on Instagram. Hit him up with your questions you might have for Tom. I can tell you right now, from the stories I've heard about my family, I am more nature versus nurture.
So yeah, you were just born that way. There's nothing changing now.
Oh man, you cannot. My mouth never stops. You can't change that.
Yeah. I would say that for the most part, I think I'm more nature too. I mean, you could have put me anywhere, and this personality is going to come out.
So next week, I want to talk about something that's very light, because that's what I do. I'm as deep as a puddle. I would like to discuss some of our childhood cartoons. You know, He-Man, Thundercats, Transformers, GoBots, but not just discuss them as they are, but who'd win in a fight between Skeletor of He-Man versus Mum-Ra of the Thundercats? Maybe who would win in a fight versus Iron Man versus Batman? You know, questions like this. We're going to need some guests for this week, so I'm going to round up maybe our friends Bruce, JP. We can get quite a few people on these calls, so I'm going to see if we can set this up.
And I will try to find out the geopolitical comparisons between those fights and the fights of 18th century French Prussia. Okay, so I'll focus on that, and you focus on
I want to know how
Skeletor and Thundercats. Okay,
I want to know how they correlate to the Franco-Prussian War. Yes, absolutely.
Oh man, good talking to you, buddy. It's always
you
fun,
too, man. Why don't you take us home?
Hey, thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate you letting us come in each week and give you a little entertainment. We enjoy the talks ourselves. Obviously, my partner and I always love having you guys listen. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.